So let's be real for a second. Your beats feel weak, don't they? They're missing that professional punch you hear in all the big tracks. And you know it's what's holding your music back. The low end is a muddy mess, the kick disappears, and the whole thing just falls flat when you play it in the car or on a phone. It's probably one of the most frustrating problems you can have as a producer. The secret to getting that crazy energy isn't some $1,000 plugin or a super complicated mastering chain. It all comes down to the relationship between your 808 and your kick drum. That's the secret weapon. Today, I'm going to show you the essential techniques the pros use to make their 808s and kicks hit so hard that your tracks are finally ready for the industry. Before we even think about mixing, we have to get why this problem happens in the first place. Picture your mix like a hallway, okay? Your kick and your 808 are two huge people trying to squeeze through at the exact same time. That'd be pretty much a mess or a disaster, right? They're going to clash, get tangled up, and neither one is going to get through cleanly. In the audio world, that's pretty much called frequency masking, and that happens when your kick and 808 are both fighting for the same low frequency range, and they just end up canceling each other out or turning into a distorted mess. So the number one rule before you do anything else is sound selection. Today for our example, we're using the beat Native that I did a full beat making tutorial on here in this channel. What's most important is you can't find two samples that were never meant to work together. What I mean is the kick should already be sharp and tight, and the 808 should have a clean, deep, powerful sound. And getting this right from the jump solves half the problem. We're not going to dive in sound selection this video. That'll be means for a much longer video. All right, let's get into the mix. First, I'm going to drag in the stems from the native beat. Create new tracks. All selected files are stems from one project. Okay. This beat is unmixed, so it's perfect for our tutorial today. Let's hear a little bit of the beat. Let's loop it, spacebar. All right, let me turn down the entire beat just a little bit. Okay, that'll work for now. Let me quickly edit the track names. Our first move is using the EQ. Now, when mixing your beats, it is recommended to mix in mono unless the track is truly a stereo track. For example, the melody here is a true stereo track. So these other tracks I'm going to select and turn these to mono. X, and now we're back to the kick. Now in this video, we're going to use Logic's stock equalizer. So you can click on the kick track and then click either in the EQ box there, or click audio effects and then scroll down to EQ and click channel EQ. Both options will work. And then the EQ will pull up on the screen like this. Let me make this a little bit smaller. Here actually should be fine. Let's pull up the 808's EQ and the kick EQ at the same time. Then we can make adjustments at the same time. All right, let's get into the mix. Our first move is using EQ. We're using it to carve out space. Instead of turning everything up, we're going to cut things out with precision. The goal is simple. Let the kick handle the punch and let the 808 handle the boom. So here's the move. We need to find the main frequency of the kick drum, the sweet spot where it really hits, which is usually between 50 and 70 hertz. Let's play these together. So we see the kick is pretty much right at 55, we could say. And now that we have both the kick EQ and the 808 EQ, we're going to make a small tight cut at the exact same frequency. So here we are on the 808 EQ. And for this, we will use a bell. And we're going to bring this right over to, we said about 55. That looks correct. And then we're going to bring this down just a tiny bit. Let's bring this just about down to 3 or 4. And then let's go for the whole 4, and then let's hear it together. That might be a little bit too much. Yeah, I think it's just a tiny bit too much. And we can even bring this over some. So we basically created a little pocket in the 808 for the kick to sit in perfectly every single time it hits. This one move stops them from fighting and gives you instant clarity. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is give us a little boost in the range that we want to hear in the 808. So for the 808, we're going to turn up just about the 170 to 200 range very slightly. We don't need too much of this. And this is the range that we want to hear from the 808. So about 185 is fine. And we'll also bring this up just a little bit as well. So let's hear it. And then the next thing we want to do is turn down between the 500 and 1K area a tiny bit. And then lastly, we're going to turn up between 1500 and 2000 also slightly. And then of course, we don't really need to hear that high end range, so we're going to use this filter all the way through just about 6K and then slope down. Okay, now let's hear this. Okay, great. So now what we're going to do to make a pocket for the 808 in the kick, we're going to take a bell again, and this time we're going to decrease the range where we increased the 808. So just about 177 is perfectly fine. This can be very, very slight because we kind of already boosted enough here in the 808. And then another thing we'll do is we'll give us a boost where we cut beforehand. So we'll give us a boost here as well. Okay. And now let's hear it. Notice I didn't do a double pocket for the lower end area as it's not needed. But because we really want to hear this range in the 808, we created double pockets on both EQs. One thing that could also throw off your mix is if the 808 is out of tune or out of key. Make sure your 808 sample is actually in tune with your song. An out of tune 808 can make the entire low end feel wrong. Let's exit out of this. Now we're going to side chain. Sidechain compression is that classic pro technique for getting the ultimate punch. All it really does is automatically duck the volume of the 808 for a split second right when the kick hits. This lets the kick's initial punch, that transient, slice through the mix completely untouched. In this video, we'll be using the one from Waves. So let's open it up. We need to select the 808 track. Okay, so we need to open it up. Audio units, Waves, C1 comp is what we're using. Mono, and then here we are. Now, before we proceed, you can do this within Logic Pro. You would go and click Dynamics, Compressor, the same mono version. And then on the top right, instead of internal, you're going to change this to the kick. Now let's exit out of this because we're going to use the one from Waves. And in the top right under sidechain, we choose the kick. Now that we have the kick drum set as the sidechain input, the most important setting here is a fast release time. This gets the 808 out of the way just long enough for the kick to be felt, and then it swells right back up to full volume, keeping the groove tight without that obvious pumping sound. This has a default set to 50, so we will leave it at that. And the only thing we will do today is slightly increase the ratio. So let's hear it first. We will drop the threshold and then increase the ratio while it is playing. So we'll drop the threshold a little bit and then turn up the ratio. We will turn this down just enough to hear the kick over top of the 808. That's about fine. Just about -3 is my goal. Okay, let's close it out. A huge part of a clean, hard-hitting low end is good arrangement. If your kick and 808 are always hitting at the exact same time on every beat, you're always going to be fighting for space. Try to build a more interesting groove by offsetting some of the 808 notes so they don't land right on the kick, or by letting the 808 or kick play extra notes that the other is not playing. Get creative with your 808 patterns. Use things like pitch slides and fields to build energy, especially in transitions or the chorus. This creates contrast and makes those moments when they do hit together feel so much bigger. In the beat native, about 80% of the time, the 808 and kick are locked in, and in other times, the 808 has extra rhythm. So that is the game plan. It all starts with picking great sounds. Then you carve out space for them with EQ. You create that punch with sidechain compression, and you build real energy with a creative arrangement. Mastering this relationship between your kick and your 808 is the secret that separates the amateur beats from the professional bangers like this one. It's not about making them louder, it's about making them work smarter together. If this video helped you out, it would be awesome if you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you don't miss what's next. Now I want to hear from you. What is the biggest thing you struggle with when you're trying to mix your low end? Drop a comment below and let's talk about it. I'm JBlanked. Keep creating. Until next time, peace.